One of the first things that the street complains about the sell side is that we focus on the next quarter, right? So absolutely, certainly, you can't argue that Google or Amazon hasn't seen some pretty good performance over the past couple of years. We like those names. Everybody likes those names. But what we also try to do, again, that's 20 some odd % of the portfolio. The bulk of it is other stuff, names that might not be on your radar. And more importantly, it was agnostic of what happened in the past. We did not look, we didn't do back testing. We looked at it and said, based on now, looking forward 7 years, based on these themes, what do we think will be the winning portfolio? And this was it, looking around the world, talking to our global analysts. It was a true bottoms-up process, no limit on number of names, no limit on sectors. That was really the idea.
What were some of the counterintuitive conclusions, do you think, in terms of just the durability of the advantages of some of these companies? I mean, we were looking right here. I mean, Chubb, for example, or some of the financials that you wouldn't necessarily think would distinguish themselves. Yeah,
so look, a JP Morgan or a Silicon Valley Bank or a Chubb for that matter, these are companies that have, data. If data's the new oil, these are companies that have a massive amount of oil, right? And so you've got to look at that. And again, the key is the will, right? The idea that these companies are all willing to sacrifice some near-term earnings, and in some cases, substantial amounts of those near-term earnings to invest in that 7-year outlook, to really, in essence, kind of draw down on that and have backing of the boards, the shareholders, and everybody else. We think those are some of the kinds of companies that can. I mean, Chubb, as an example, sits right in the middle of a part of the insurance market that, again, unique advantages, and they're showing that willingness to really invest and be able to move that forward. And a lot of other names as well. I mean, intuitively, Xylem, like who's heard of Xylem? Like some people have, some people haven't, but this is a water company, right? If water is a scarce asset going forward, and if this is the leader in that market, again, another great example of the kind of company you'd want to have in that portfolio. But the counterintuitive themes sort of stretch across the board. AI is an obvious one, right? But what about areas like, the calibrated and augmented self? That was one of our themes. The idea that, again, we as consumers are literally going to create self-directed products, right? Well, there's some big companies that'll be able to do that, but there's probably a lot of smaller companies that'll be able to take advantage of that as well. Some that are private and you don't know today that certainly aren't in this portfolio. But these, the themes, as much as the names, are what we're trying to have people focus in on.
On the more obvious side, it looks like you have all the FANG names in there.
You know what? I think it would have been an oversight not to look and say, again, data's the new oil. These are companies that are massively investing in all the themes, in AI, in understanding the consumer, in creating specialized products that are dealing with them. Again, you can talk about the risk, but the reality is they have massive resources. They've shown a willingness to sacrifice near-term earnings. I mean, Amazon for years, how many years was Amazon beaten up for the fact that they kept drawing down earnings into their investments, right? For how many years was that a complaint against them? And yet, look where Amazon is today, right? The reality is it works. Yeah, people tended to get over it.
You mentioned data being the new oil. Your energy weighting is the lowest of all the weightings, right? At 7? Why is that?
It is indeed. Well, for obvious reasons. Look, in traditional energy plays, and we don't have any traditional oil companies in it, because it is, if you're looking at the traditional, exactly, oil is not the new oil. But we do have Schlumberger and Halliburton in that list. Why? These are the technology enablers of the energy industry, right? They're the ones who are going to create the innovation, allowing these energy companies to produce at the lowest possible rates. Oil's not going away. We know these are going to be great companies generating great cash flow. The companies that are going to help enable them are kind of the ones we want to own in the theme of this portfolio. Keep in mind, the idea wasn't, singularly the best outperformance. We hope that's the case. But it was really about, let's think about these themes and let's help people think and frame around those as a result.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.